I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but here I am. My name is Kim, 28F, and I'm about to tell you how my stepbrother Nathan, 30M, ruined what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, my wedding day. It's a long and complicated story, so bear with me. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to when I was 10 years old. That was the year my mom, Maria, passed away from breast cancer. It was a devastating time for my dad, Steve, 55M, and me. Mom had been the glue that held our little family together. She was warm, funny, and had a way of making everyone feel special. After she died, our house felt empty and cold. For the next 3 years, Dad threw himself into his work as a way to cope with his grief. He'd leave early in the morning and come home late at night. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother or alone in the house, trying to fill the silence with TV shows or music. I missed my mom terribly, but I also missed my dad, who seemed to have disappeared into his own world of sorrow. Everything changed when I was 13. Dad came home one day with a big smile on his face, something I hadn't seen in years. He sat me down and told me he had met someone special, a woman named Linda, 52F. I was cautiously optimistic. Part of me was happy to see Dad smiling again, but another part felt guilty, as if we were somehow betraying Mom's memory. A few weeks later, I met Linda. She was nice enough, I suppose. She had a polite smile and brought me a stuffed animal as a gift. But what really caught my attention was the lanky teenager standing behind her, Nathan. Dad explained that Linda was a widow too, and Nathan was her son. They had lost Nathan's dad in a car accident 5 years ago. At first, I was excited about the idea of having a brother. I'd always been an only child and sometimes felt lonely. I thought maybe Nathan and I could be friends, that we'd have movie nights and inside jokes like the siblings I saw on TV shows. How wrong I was. From the very beginning, Nathan made it clear that he didn't like me or the idea of sharing his mom with a new family. The first time Linda and Nathan stayed over at our house, I woke up in the middle of the night to find Nathan in my room, rifling through my things. When I confronted him, he smirked and said he was just getting to know his new sister. It was creepy and invasive, and when I told Dad about it the next day, he brushed it off as Nathan being curious about his new home. That set the tone for our relationship over the next few years. Nathan would do things to upset me, accidentally spilling juice on my homework, mistakenly deleting my saved games on the PlayStation, forgetting to give me phone messages from my friends. Each time, he'd have an excuse ready, and each time, Dad and Linda would believe him over me. As we entered high school, Nathan's tactics became more sophisticated. He started spreading rumors about me at school, telling people I cheated on tests or that I had a crush on one of the teachers. He even managed to convince some of my friends that I had been talking badly about them behind their backs. Slowly but surely, my social circle shrank and I found myself becoming more isolated. The worst part was that Nathan was always the perfect son and brother when adults were around. He'd offer to help Linda with the dishes or volunteer to mow the lawn for Dad. He got good grades and was popular at school. To the outside world, he was the ideal stepson and stepbrother. Only I saw his true colors. I tried talking to Dad about it multiple times, but he always had the same response: try harder to get along with Nathan or he's had a tough time too, you know. It was as if he couldn't, or wouldn't, see what was really going on. Things came to a head during my senior year of high school. I had been working hard on my college applications, dreaming of escaping to a school far away from Nathan and the tension at home. One day, I came home to find my laptop open on the kitchen table, with Nathan sitting in front of it. He had a smug look on his face as he told me he had been proofreading my college essays for me. When I checked, I found that he had deleted all my essays and replaced them with poorly written, plagiarized versions. I was devastated. I had spent months working on those essays, pouring my heart into them. With the application deadlines looming, I didn't have time to rewrite everything from scratch. I confronted Nathan in front of Dad and Linda, telling them exactly what he had done. But Nathan put on an Oscar-worthy performance, crying and saying he was just trying to help and must have accidentally saved over my files. Once again, Dad and Linda believed him over me. That was the last straw. I ended up having to scramble to submit rushed, mediocre applications. I still got into college, but not the schools I had been hoping for. The day I left for college was one of the happiest of my life. I was finally free from Nathan's constant torment. Over the next few years, I limited my contact with my family. I'd come home for major holidays, but I always made sure to have an excuse to leave early. I built a new life for myself, made new friends, and started to heal from the years of gaslighting and emotional abuse. Then, 2 years ago, I met Ryan, 29M. He was different from anyone I'd ever dated before. Kind, understanding, and patient. For the first time, I felt truly seen and valued. When he proposed last year, I was over the moon. We started planning our wedding, and I was determined to make it perfect. Against my better judgment, I decided to invite Nathan to the wedding. Part of me hoped that maybe, just maybe, he had grown up and changed. I wanted to believe that we could put the past behind us and start fresh. I even asked him to give a speech at the reception, thinking it might be a way for us to bond. The wedding day arrived, and everything seemed perfect. The venue was beautiful, the weather was gorgeous, and I felt like a princess in my dress. The ceremony went smoothly, and for a moment, I let myself believe that nothing could go wrong. But then came the reception and Nathan's speech. It started innocently enough, with some childhood memories and jokes. But then he started bringing up embarrassing stories from my past, twisting them to make me look bad. He mentioned my ex-boyfriends, implying I had a questionable dating history. The final blow came when he said that Ryan was settling for me, and that he hoped I wouldn't disappoint him like I had disappointed our family. The room fell silent. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, a mix of pity and shock on their faces. Ryan squeezed my hand under the table, his jaw clenched in anger. Dad just sat there, looking uncomfortable but doing nothing to stop Nathan. And Linda. Linda was actually smirking, as if she was enjoying the show. I couldn't take it anymore. I got up and ran out of the hall, tears streaming down my face. Ryan followed me, along with my best friend and maid of honor, Sarah, 28F. They tried to console me, but I was inconsolable. The day I had dreamed about since I was a little girl had been ruined, and once again, Nathan was the culprit. It's been a week since the wedding, and I'm still trying to process everything. Ryan has been incredibly supportive, but I can tell he's angry too. Dad has called a few times, leaving voicemails about how Nathan didn't mean it and how I should forgive him for the sake of family unity. Linda sent me a text saying I was overreacting and that I needed to stop being so sensitive. I feel like I'm at a crossroads. Part of me wants to cut ties with all of them, Dad, Linda, and especially Nathan. But another part feels guilty about the idea of leaving Dad. He's not a bad person, just weak when it comes to standing up to Nathan and Linda. I don't know what to do. Should I try to forgive Nathan for the millionth time? Should I give Dad another chance to make things right? Or is it time for me to prioritize my own happiness and well-being, even if it means leaving behind the only family I have left? I'd appreciate any advice or thoughts. Thanks for reading this incredibly long post. Writing it all out has been cathartic, in a way. I just hope I can find a way forward from here. Update 1, it's been a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their supportive comments and advice. Your words really helped me gain perspective on the situation and gave me the courage to take action. After a lot of soul-searching and many long conversations with Ryan, I decided that I couldn't let Nathan's behavior slide this time. It was time to set some firm boundaries and demand accountability. Here's what I did. I started by writing a long, detailed email to my dad. In it, I laid out every instance of Nathan's bullying and mistreatment over the years, from the small incidents when we were kids to the major ones like sabotaging my college applications. I explained how his constant dismissal of my concerns had enabled Nathan's behavior and how deeply hurt I was that he didn't stand up for me at the wedding. I told him I needed space and that I wouldn't be in contact until he took concrete steps to address the situation. Next, I blocked Nathan and Linda's numbers and removed them from all my social media accounts. It was surprisingly liberating to know that I wouldn't have to deal with their guilt-tripping messages or passive-aggressive comments anymore. The hardest part was deciding what to do about the wedding incident. After discussing it with Ryan and consulting with a lawyer friend, we decided to pursue a civil suit against Nathan for intentional infliction of emotional distress. It's not about the money, we just want Nathan to face real consequences for his actions for once in his life. The aftermath of these decisions has been interesting, to say the least. Word got out in our extended family and social circle about what happened at the wedding and our subsequent actions. The reactions have been mixed. Most of my friends and colleagues have been incredibly supportive. Sarah, my maid of honor, even organized a do-over reception for us with our closest friends. It was a beautiful, intimate gathering that helped heal some of the wounds from the ruined wedding reception. My mom's side of the family, who never really liked Linda and Nathan, have rallied around me. My Aunt Nancy, 58F, my mom's sister, even offered to help pay for our legal fees. She told me a story I'd never heard before, about how she had tried to warn my dad about remarrying too quickly after Mom's death. Apparently, she had some concerns about Linda from the beginning, but Dad was too caught up in his newfound happiness to listen. Some of my dad's relatives have been less supportive. My cousin Mark, 35M, who has always been close to Nathan, called me petty for suing and said I should let bygones be bygones. I promptly blocked him too. It hurt to cut off more family members, but I'm learning that sometimes it's necessary for my own well-being. An unexpected development came when Nathan's biological father, William, 54M, reached out to me. I had only met William a handful of times over the years. He and Linda had a pretty acrimonious divorce, and he wasn't very involved in Nathan's life. William apologized for Nathan's behavior and shared some insights into Nathan's childhood before he came to live with us. According to William, Nathan had some serious behavioral issues even as a young child. He was prone to violent outbursts and had been in therapy for anger management since he was 6. William admitted that he had struggled to handle Nathan's issues, which was part of why he had distanced himself after the divorce. He said he felt guilty for not being more present in Nathan's life and wondered if things might have been different if he had been. While this information doesn't excuse Nathan's actions, it does provide some context. It also makes me angry all over again at Dad and Linda for not addressing Nathan's issues head-on and for allowing him to torment me for years. As for my dad, he finally broke his silence last week. He sent me a long email, apologizing for his inaction over the years. He admitted that he had always found it easier to placate Nathan than to discipline him, and he realized now how much that had hurt me. He said that losing Mom had made him terrified of conflict, and he had convinced himself that keeping the peace at any cost was the best way to hold our blended family together. Dad also revealed something I hadn't known. Apparently, shortly after he and Linda got married, she had threatened to leave him if he ever sided with me over Nathan. He said he was ashamed that he had allowed her ultimatum to influence his behavior, and that he realized now how unfair it had been to me. He's agreed to go to family counseling with me, without Nathan or Linda, to work on our relationship. I'm cautiously optimistic about this. I love my dad, and I want to believe that he can change, but I'm also wary of getting my hopes up too high. Linda, on the other hand, has been on a warpath. She's been calling every family member she can, spinning a story about how I'm tearing the family apart with my vindictiveness. Some people are buying it, but most see through her act. It's been eye-opening to see how many people have apparently been waiting for an opportunity to distance themselves from Linda and Nathan. Nathan himself has been surprisingly quiet. From what I've heard through the grapevine, he's laying low at a friend's place. Part of me wonders if he finally realizes the gravity of what he's done, but I'm not holding my breath. I've spent too many years hoping he would change, only to be disappointed. As for Ryan and me, we're doing okay. The whole ordeal has been stressful, but it's also brought us closer together. Ryan has been my rock through all of this, offering unwavering support and reminding me that I deserve to be treated with respect. We're planning a small vow renewal ceremony for our first anniversary, surrounded only by those who truly support us. It feels like a chance to reclaim our wedding day and create new, positive memories. I'll keep you updated as things progress with the legal case and the family counseling. Thank you again for all your support. It means more than you know. Update 2. Hey everyone, it's been about 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to fill you in on what's been happening. The biggest news is that our legal case against Nathan has been settled out of court. His lawyer reached out to ours about a month ago, proposing a settlement. After some negotiation, we agreed to the terms. I can't disclose the exact details due to the agreement, but I can say that it involved a significant financial compensation and a legally binding promise from Nathan to stay away from us. The money wasn't really the point for us, so we've decided to donate most of it to a local charity that works with troubled youth. It feels like a way to turn this negative experience into something positive. The charity has a program that provides counseling and support for kids from dysfunctional families, which feels particularly meaningful given our history. As for my relationship with my dad, things are complicated. We've been attending family counseling sessions together, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions. I've learned a lot about my dad's own struggles with guilt after my mom's death, and how that influenced his permissive parenting of Nathan. In one particularly intense session, Dad revealed that he had always felt guilty about remarrying so soon after Mom's death. He said that in the early days of his relationship with Linda, he had convinced himself that making the new family work was a way of honoring Mom's memory, that she would have wanted him and me to be happy. This led him to overcompensate by trying to make sure Nathan and Linda felt fully accepted, often at my expense. We've also delved into my childhood memories, and it's been painful to revisit some of those experiences. I've realized that I had internalized a lot of the blame for the family dysfunction, always trying to be the good child in hopes of winning Dad's attention and approval. Recognizing this pattern has been difficult, but it's also been the start of some real healing. Dad has been making efforts to rebuild our relationship. He's been more proactive in reaching out, asking about my life and actually listening to my responses. He's also started to share more stories about Mom, which has been bittersweet but healing. It's clear he's trying, but there's still a long way to go. Linda continues to be a thorn in my side. She's still trying to paint me as the villain in all this, but fewer and fewer people are buying her story. Last month, she showed up unannounced at my workplace, causing a scene. She was yelling about how I had stolen her son and ruined her family. Thankfully, my boss was understanding and had security escort her out. I've since filed for a restraining order against her. On a brighter note, Ryan and I had our vow renewal ceremony last weekend. It was everything our wedding should have been: intimate, joyful, and drama-free. We held it in a beautiful garden, with just our closest friends and family in attendance. We wrote our own vows, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It felt like a fresh start for us, and a way to reclaim the celebration that was stolen from us. My relationship with my extended family has shifted quite a bit. Some relatives who initially sided with Nathan have come around after hearing the full story. Others have shown their true colors, and are no longer a part of my life. It's been a painful process of pruning toxic relationships, but I feel lighter for it. Aunt Nancy has become a huge source of support. She's been sharing stories about my mom that I've never heard before, helping me feel connected to her memory in a way I haven't in years. She's also been a voice of reason when I start to doubt myself or feel guilty about the family rifts. As for Nathan, I haven't heard anything directly from him since the settlement. Part of me is curious about whether he's changed or sought help, but I remind myself that it's not my responsibility to find out. I'm focusing on my own healing and moving forward with my life. Ryan and I are talking about starting a family soon. The whole experience has made us realize how important it is to create a loving, supportive home for our future children. We're committed to breaking the cycle of dysfunction that plagued my childhood. Thank you all for your continued support throughout this journey. Your advice and encouragement have been invaluable. I'll post another update if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm looking forward to a quieter, drama-free future with Ryan. Update 3. Hello everyone. It's been almost a year since my last update, and I wanted to share some final thoughts and developments with you all. Life has settled into a new normal for Ryan and me. We're expecting our first child, a little girl due in about 4 months. The pregnancy has brought up a lot of emotions, especially about family and the kind of parents we want to be. We're both committed to creating a loving, stable home for our daughter, free from the kind of drama and hurt I experienced growing up. My relationship with my dad has continued to evolve. We're still in family counseling, and while things aren't perfect, they're better than they've been in years. He's excited about becoming a grandfather and has been making efforts to be more present and supportive. Last month, we had a breakthrough in therapy when Dad finally acknowledged how his actions, and inactions, had affected me throughout my childhood and teen years. He broke down crying, saying he wished he could go back and do things differently. It was a powerful moment, and while it doesn't erase the past, it feels like a solid foundation for rebuilding our relationship. Dad has also been standing up to Linda more. When she tried to insert herself into our baby shower plans, insisting that she should be involved as the baby's grandmother, Dad firmly told her that she wasn't welcome. It was the first time I'd ever seen him directly contradict her, and it meant a lot to me. Speaking of Linda, the restraining order against her was granted. She's not allowed to contact me or come near our home or my workplace. It's been a relief not having to worry about her showing up unexpectedly trying to cause more drama. Aunt Nancy has been amazing throughout the pregnancy. She's been sharing Mom's old baby books with me, telling me stories about when Mom was pregnant with me. It's bittersweet. I wish more than ever that Mom was here to experience this with me, but it's also healing to feel this connection to her. As for Nathan, I received an unexpected letter about 3 months ago. It was from a rehabilitation center, where apparently Nathan has been receiving treatment for alcohol addiction and behavioral issues. The letter was part of his 12-step program, where he was making amends to people he had hurt. In the letter, Nathan acknowledged the pain he had caused me over the years and at the wedding. He didn't make excuses but took full responsibility for his actions. He wrote about his struggles with anger and addiction, and how he's been working to understand the root causes of his behavior. He also said he understood if I didn't want to have any contact with him and that he would respect my wishes either way. I'll be honest, the letter stirred up a lot of complex emotions. Part of me was glad to see he was getting help, but another part was angry that it took this long and cost me so much pain. After discussing it with Ryan and my therapist, I decided not to respond for now. Maybe someday in the future, I'll be ready to have a conversation with Nathan, but for now, I'm focusing on my own family and healing. Ryan and I have been busy preparing for the baby's arrival. We've moved to a new house in a family-friendly neighborhood, and we're slowly building a community of friends and supportive people around us. It feels like we're finally creating the kind of life and family environment I always wished for as a child. We've been attending birthing classes and parenting workshops together. Sometimes, I find myself getting anxious about whether I'll be a good mother, given my complicated family history. But Ryan always reassures me, reminding me that being aware of the past is the first step in making sure we don't repeat it. Looking back on everything that's happened since that disastrous wedding day, I can see how far I've come. I've learned to set boundaries, to stand up for myself, and to surround myself with people who truly care about me. It hasn't been an easy journey, but I'm proud of where I am now. As I prepare to become a mother myself, I find myself reflecting on my own childhood and the kind of parent I want to be. I'm determined to create a home filled with love, understanding, and open communication, all the things I wished for as a child. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support and advice have been a lifeline during some of the darkest moments. I probably won't be posting any more updates after this, but I want you all to know how much your kindness has meant to me. Here's to new beginnings and to breaking cycles of hurt. Wishing you all the best.